I want you to take a second and think about a specific person in your life. You know the one I'm talking about. Every time you see their name pop up on your phone, your stomach drops just a little bit, or every time you walk into a room and see them there, your muscles tense up. Maybe it's a boss who always manages to make you feel like you're about to be fired, even when you've done nothing wrong. Maybe it's a partner who somehow twists every argument until you are the one apologizing, even though they were the one who started it. Or maybe it's a friend who makes subtle little jokes at your expense, but if you get upset, they tell you that you're just being too sensitive. Do you have that person in your mind? Good. Because what you are dealing with isn't just a difficult personality. You aren't just dealing with someone who is grumpy or misunderstood. You are dealing with a manipulator. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you are trapped in a game that you are losing. You think you are having a conversation, but they are playing a strategy game. You think you are trying to resolve a conflict, but they are trying to win a war, and the worst part? You probably feel like you're going crazy. You walk away from conversations with them wondering if you actually did say that thing they accused you of. You spend hours replaying interactions in your head, trying to figure out where it went wrong. You feel drained, exhausted, and small. This is the problem. It is not just that this person is annoying. It is that they are actively eroding your sense of reality and your self-worth. They are feeding off your emotional reactions like a parasite feeds off a host. And the more you try to explain yourself, the more you try to defend your character, the more you try to make them understand your point of view, the deeper you sink into their trap. You are giving them exactly what they want. You are giving them fuel. Every tear you shed, every long text paragraph you send, every time you raise your voice in frustration, you are handing them power. You are handing them the remote control to your emotions, and they are pressing the buttons whenever they get bored. But what if I told you that you could stop this dynamic today? What if I told you that the reason they are so powerful is only because you are predictable? You see, manipulators rely on a script. They know that if they push button A, you will do reaction B. If they accuse you of being selfish, you will scramble to prove you are generous. If they give you the silent treatment, you will panic and chase after them. They know your buttons better than you do. But what happens if they push the button and nothing happens? What happens if they try to start the fire, but you have removed all the oxygen from the room? Today we are going to flip the script. We're going to take the controller back. I am not going to teach you how to argue better, because you cannot win an argument with a manipulator. Logic does not work on someone who is not playing by the rules of logic. Instead, I'm going to teach you how to beat them at their own game by changing the way you play entirely. By the end of this video, you are going to have a set of psychological tools that will act like a shield. You will be able to stand in front of that person, hear their words, and feel absolutely nothing but a calm sense of control. You are going to learn how to become unshakable. The first thing you need to understand is the mechanism of the trap. A manipulator's greatest weapon is your desire to be a good person. They know that you value fairness. They know that you want to be seen as reasonable, kind, and helpful. So they use those good qualities against you. They weaponize your empathy. When they hurt you, they play the victim so that your empathy kicks in and you end up comforting them. When they make a mistake, they blame your reaction to the mistake, so you end up apologizing for being upset. It is a constant shifting of the goalposts. And because you are a rational person, you keep trying to use reason to fix it. You think, if I just explain it clearly enough, they will get it. But they already get it. They just don't care. They aren't interested in your truth. They are interested in your submission. So how do we break this cycle? We have to stop feeding the beast. The first step is what I like to call becoming a rock. Imagine a rock on the side of the road. It is boring. It is uninteresting. It offers nothing. If you kicked it, it wouldn't scream. If you yelled at it, it wouldn't argue back. It just sits there. This is what you must become when you are dealing with a manipulator. You need to become the most boring person in the world to them. When they try to provoke you, usually you would react with high emotion. You would get defensive. You would get angry. Instead, I want you to give them nothing. No facial expression. No change in tone. No long explanations. If they say something intended to hurt you, like, "You're always so lazy," you never help out. Your old reaction would be to list all the things you did today. You would say, "How can you say that? I did the dishes, I went to work, I picked up the kids." You are engaging in the battle. You are trying to prove them wrong. The new reaction is simple. You look at them, keep your face completely neutral, and say something like, "I can see why you might think that," or simply, "Okay," and then you go back to what you were doing. Do you feel the difference there? You didn't accept their insult as truth, but you also didn't fight it. You just let it fall to the floor. By refusing to argue, you have denied them the conflict they were looking for. It is like trying to play tennis with someone who refuses to hit the ball back. Eventually, they will get bored and leave the court. This is incredibly hard to do at first because every fiber of your being wants to scream, "That's not fair." But you have to remember that fairness is not the goal here. Peace is the goal, freedom is the goal. And you do not get peace by fighting a war you cannot win. You get peace by refusing to show up to the battlefield. Now, let's talk about the second tool, which is the power of the awkward silence. Manipulators love speed. They love to talk fast, throw a dozen accusations at you at once, and demand an immediate answer. They want to overwhelm your processing system so that you panic and agree to things you don't want to do. They create a false sense of urgency. I need to know right now, or if you don't answer me, I'm leaving. Your defense against this is to slow everything down. You are going to become the master of the pause. When they ask you a loaded question or make a demand, do not answer immediately. Take a breath. Count to 3. Look at them. Let the silence hang in the air. That silence is uncomfortable. It creates tension. And usually the manipulator will try to fill that silence because they feel their control slipping. If they demand an answer, you simply say, "I need to think about that. I'll get back to you." They will hate this. They might push harder. Why do you need to think about it? It's a simple question. And you just repeat calmly like a broken record, "I hear you, but I need to think about it." You are establishing a boundary that says, "I run on my own time, not yours." You are breaking their momentum. It is like putting a speed bump on a racetrack. It forces them to slow down, and it gives your brain the chance to catch up and realize, wait a minute, I don't actually want to do this. The third tool is perhaps the most fun to use once you get the hang of it. It's called the mirror. Usually, when a manipulator attacks you, the spotlight is on you. You are the one being inspected. You are the one being criticized. You are under the microscope. The mirror technique grabs that spotlight and shines it right back on them, but in a way that doesn't look aggressive. You do this by asking questions instead of making statements. If they make a passive-aggressive comment, like, "Must be nice to have so much free time," instead of getting defensive and saying, "I work hard," you simply look at them with genuine curiosity and ask, "What do you mean by that?" Or, "Why would you say that to me?" Watch what happens. You have forced them to explain their insult. A manipulator works best in the shadows, using implied meanings and hidden jabs. When you ask, "What do you mean?" you are dragging their hidden meaning out into the sunlight. They will usually stumble. They might say, "Oh, it was just a joke. You're so sensitive." And you can use the mirror again. I'm curious, what part of that was supposed to be the funny part? You are not being mean. You are not yelling. You are just asking questions. You are holding up a mirror to their behavior and asking them to look at it. Most manipulators cannot handle this level of direct scrutiny. They will change the subject. They will try to deflect. But you have won the interaction because you didn't let them land the punch. You caught their fist and asked them why they were swinging it. Let's go deeper into the mindset shift you need. You need to stop looking to this person for validation. This is the hardest pill to swallow. The reason their words hurt you is that part of you still respects their opinion. Part of you still wants them to think you are good, or smart, or capable. You are handing them your self-esteem and asking them to hold it for you, and they are dropping it on the floor on purpose. You have to fire them from the job of being your judge. Imagine if a random stranger on the street started screaming that you were a terrible astronaut. You wouldn't be upset. You would be confused, maybe a little amused, but you wouldn't go home and cry about how you're a failure as an astronaut. Why? Because you don't value that stranger's opinion on your career. You need to reach that same level of detachment with the manipulator. When they call you selfish or crazy or overly sensitive, you need to view it as data about them, not data about you. When they say, "You are so difficult to love," you need to translate that. What they are actually saying is, "You are becoming difficult to control." When they say you are crazy, what they really mean is, "You are seeing through my lies and I am panicking." Once you learn to translate their language, the words lose their sting. You stop taking it personally because you realize it was never about you in the first place. It was always about their need to feel superior, their need to feel in charge, their inability to handle their own emotions. You are just the screen they are projecting their movie onto. I want to warn you about something though. When you start using these techniques, when you start acting like a rock, when you start using the pause, when you stop reacting, things might get worse before they get better. This is called the extinction burst. Think of a toddler throwing a tantrum because they want a candy bar. If the parent says no, the toddler doesn't just immediately say, "Okay, mother, I respect your decision." No, they scream louder. They kick the floor. They escalate. The manipulator will do the same thing. They will try harder to get a reaction out of you because the old buttons aren't working anymore. They might say meaner things. They might bring up your biggest insecurities. They might try to get other people involved to gang up on you. This is the moment where most people give up and go back to the old way, but you must not give up. This escalation is actually a sign that you are winning. It is a sign that the power balance is shifting. They are panicking because they are losing their grip on you. Stand firm. Keep your cool. Hold the line. Eventually, they will realize that the candy bar is never coming. They will realize that you are no longer a source of emotional supply, and they will stop. They will either change their behavior because it no longer works, or, more likely, they will move on to find someone else who is easier to manipulate. And while that is sad for the next person, it is freedom for you.